Hello and welcome to the CX Files for July 17, 2025. My name's Mark Hillary and I'm in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
And I'm Peter Ryan, back in Montreal after some time in Europe, Georgia specifically. Mark, great to see you. July 17, I want to say, was it not the anniversary of Live Aid? Are we not looking at the 40th anniversary of Live Aid on this day?
It could be, it could be. I know it's my brother's birthday, so I should probably send him a
Oh,
message.
well, happy birthday to your brother. Is it
Happy...
his 40th birthday?
No, he's already past 50 actually, but I guess he probably wishes that it was his 40th.
Okay, well, I've just done a sense check, Mark, and it was the 13th of July that Live Aid took place at Wembley Stadium and at JFK Stadium in Philadelphia. So we're only a few days away, but definitely happy to celebrate the birthday of one of the Hillary family members. It's always good I always say you've got to celebrate your birthdays, because if you don't, the alternative is a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing about getting old. There is an alternative to it.
Yeah, exactly. I prefer the getting old part.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, we've got a really exciting interview today. I had the chance to catch up with Jon Florence. Now, Jon is the Senior Vice President of Industry Solutions at Xima Software. I've gotten to know Xima over the course of the last little while, and they've got an amazing reputation in regards to powering different solutions with artificial intelligence. And Jon is one of these people that you can sit down and you can talk about very complex solutions, you can talk about very complex offerings, but he's able to boil them down into such a way that somebody like me, who's by no means a technologist, can really understand it and get under the hood and really have a clear line of sight. So what I thought I'd do was chat a little bit to Jon about the journeys that a lot of companies are going on with regards to artificial intelligence, how a lot of firms are approaching these solutions and technologies, and what they might want to think about in terms of optimizing their efficiency with regards to picking what they need, identifying areas within their organizations where AI could be useful, as well as what they need to do in terms of sourcing, I would say, impartial or objective analysis and avoiding the hype cycle.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we should probably get some more of the software and technology systems onto this podcast, because I think that they're definitely driving a lot of the innovation that's going on in CX at the moment, and of course for companies that are providing technology that's creating CX solutions, their potential market is much bigger than just the BPOs alone. You can be selling directly into big companies managing their own internal solutions as well. So there's definitely an interesting group of organizations here.
There's a very interesting group. And what I like about what Jon was able to do over the course of our chat was, I think, bring a dose of sanity to a topic that, Mark, as you know, has been fraught with white noise, with bandwagon jumping. I used the expression hype cycle once already. I'll use it again. We have to have an on the ground discussion about this. And a lot of these different firms on the enterprise side, as you mentioned, which is significant in terms of its size for the CX technology community to sell into. They really, I think, need to have their own level set, their own redressment in terms of thinking about what this technology can do and why it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what we've found with many of these companies that turn to the BPOs for advice, but quite often the BPOs themselves are buying technology from a third party, and then they are figuring out how can it be used. So there's an interesting dynamic taking place at the moment.
Well, I'm going to recommend that we pop right over to my interview with Jon Florence from Xima Software and get a little bit of an idea from him about what organizations need to be thinking about in their AI journeys. So this week's CX Files, we are really lucky to have joining us from his home in Salt Lake City, Jon Florence, who is the SVP of Industry Solutions at Xima. Jon, great to have you here on the CX Files. Maybe just to kick things off, I'd love to hear a little bit more about yourself, what you do, and some thoughts around Xima.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Peter. I'm excited to join you today. Like you said, Jon Florence, and I'm with Xima Software, and the official title is SVP of Industry Solutions. And a lot of times when I tell people that title, they're like, oh, what is it that you do? And I love my job. I have a very unique position where I work with customers and I work on the pre-sales front. I also work on the post sales front with our customer experience team. And then I'm also working heavily with our product team to know where the industry is going. And so I'm kind of involved in all areas of customers' journey with software, specifically around customer experience or contact center software. I'm talking to customers constantly, pre-sales, understanding, where they want to go in the market, what challenges they're having as a business. I'm constantly sharing that with our product team to investigate so we can help solve those problems. But then I also want to, make sure once we build something, it goes in properly and it is doing exactly that from a post implementation in our customer success team, that it did solve those problems and that we hit the mark with the product. And so it's a very unique job, unique role, and I absolutely love it. Now, Zima, to answer that question, it started like a lot of telecom contact center type companies on prem. The company was started back in 2007, working with your traditional on prem phone systems, Mitel, Cisco, and Avaya. And then as we built our software and transitioned over the years, in the late 2010, so around 2018, we started our migration to the cloud, and now we're primarily a cloud-based company.
Okay, this is awesome. Now, one of the reasons we were going to catch up today, John, was to do a bit of a deep dive around how you see artificial intelligence, or AI as it's more commonly known, in the context of CX, in regards to delivery, in regards to operations, and just in regards to, I think maybe dispelling some of the elements around the hype cycle that we've been going into. And the hype cycle is where I'd like to start. You know, I've been highly critical of hype cycles in the CX space, and there's been lots of them over the course of the past 20 plus years I've been involved in customer experience. And when you and I were doing our initial chat to plan out this podcast recording, you had mentioned something to me that really jumped out, and that was the element that you talked about, the precedents, where there's been a whole lot of activity in the market. There's been hype cycle activity. There has been almost solutions that have been blown out of proportions in so many different ways. And what we've been experiencing since the launch of ChatGPT in November of 2022, I would suggest is not unprecedented. There have been precedents for this before. I'd love to hear from you what you see some of those precedents are, so we can give this a little bit of context to 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it reminds me of in the when I first started in this space, it was going about 20 years ago, in the IT telecom space, and VoIP was the big buzzword that a lot of companies were talking about. And I quickly learned what that meant. And companies would come to me and they're like, I want a VoIP phone system. And I was like, okay, tell me a little bit more about your business. Why do you want a VoIP phone system? And they didn't really know what VoIP meant. They didn't really know how it was going to help their business. They just heard, oh, it's going to help me save money. It's going to make me more proficient. And understanding their business, I'm like, you're not quite there yet where VoIP is the right system for you. And it kind of reminds me, the hype cycle reminds me of that VoIP. Now, AI, it's a little bit different because I feel like it was almost a perfect storm for AI to, come to the forefront of the market. And what you see happening, some precedents that are being set is one, we used to call our product CCaaS, which a lot of people didn't know. Contact Center as a Service is an acronym of what it stands for. And a lot of the big brand companies out there, you're talking your Five Nines, your Ring Centrals, your Talkdesk. These are Gartner Magic Quadrant type companies. If you go look at those companies over the past 3 years, when ChatGPT got released and AI has just gotten better, they've all rebranded. None of them will call their product a contact center product anymore. They all refer to it as customer experience. And if you go to their sites and you look at their packaging, AI is incorporated throughout all their packaging, so much so that it even makes its way into their product names a lot of time.
Yeah.
They're really focusing on AI from a marketing perspective. And the reason that they can do that is, AI is, I mentioned earlier, it's that perfect storm with the advancements of cloud, what we'll say post-COVID, and then the advancements of AI that all just kind of set this precedent for an explosion of AI in the market. But I feel a lot of companies are still running into that same problem that they were with VoIP. They want AI, but they're not necessarily sure how it could help their business, how it's going to help them save money.
Yeah, and John, I think that you're spot on with that. And one of the things that really I find quite alarming is when I talk to people on the enterprise side, people on the buy side, and they say that their boardrooms have mandated implement AI, and they're coming to the table and they're saying, we have no idea what we are supposed to do with AI. We have no idea how this is applicable potentially into our customer experience management. So when we put that into almost a level set, what would you, John, say are the educational foundations that people who might be running a customer experience department in fintech or in green enterprise or in e-commerce need to be thinking about? What are some of the core areas they need to inform themselves around AI before they start thinking about what a particular solution should be?
That's such an important question and something someone in that role in operations should consider, because you're absolutely right. Executive teams, founders, CEOs, they're all mandating that the business start adopting AI. Like that is the top level objective. I was on actually a call earlier this week where the CEO joined our demonstration, and we're asking, what are you looking for? And the CEO, the one comment that he made was, we're also interested in incorporating AI. So anything you have around that, please let us know. And I think that's where a lot of companies should start. First, understanding what AI possibilities are out there in the market that can help customer experience. You first need to understand, okay, AI, a lot of people know about ChatGPT, but what other AI tools are out there that are focusing specifically on that customer experience space? So that I use that demo as more of an education. They didn't give me a specific task. I just educated on all the different things that we can do from an AI perspective. And that's where then those CX operational managers that have been tasked with this job should then take it. Okay, you have a little bit more education around AI. What you should then ask yourself, what problem are we trying to solve? What are we really looking to solve with AI? Because you don't want AI. The mistake I see companies make is they try to make AI do everything. And that can be one of those instant red flags. You're over humanizing AI. Use AI to solve specific tasks. And how I educate companies, if they're not sure, is okay, where do your agents, again, focusing on that customer experience space, where do they spend the majority of their time? What are they doing on their interactions? What if you could take those, mundane, repetitive tasks and have AI automate those processes? How much time would that free up then your agents to focus on more of the harder level tasks or the more detailed oriented tasks that usually are more time consuming? What could that mean for the business? And so really focusing again on what problem are you going to solve? So you talked about e-commerce. I'll give a great example here. A lot of e-commerce, and we work in a lot of e-commerce and retail and business services. So like pest control companies, glass, automotive. A lot of theirs are very similar. They'll make appointments, whether with existing customers and new customers, and they have default processes they have to book appointments. They have certain tasks that they have to ask. Oh, I need your name. I need your home address. Do you have an account number with us? Are you a new customer? And all those things, when you start adding up and you do that on every single call, that can be a great amount of time. Well, what if AI could take that portion from your agents, it asks those simple questions. Okay, yeah, are you existing customer or new customer? Oh, I'm an existing customer. Okay, perfect. What's your account number? And if you don't know your account number, let me look it up from a phone number. And so it collects all this information, and it can then go and book that appointment. But that's another element people need to consider. Integrations that can be time consuming, that can be a much more difficult task to roll out. And so if you're getting into AI, I wouldn't recommend that. Just handle the simple tasks and then get that over to your agent to speed up that time to resolution.
John, one of the things that I think you can agree with me on here is when you're looking for an objective source, when you're looking for a source that you're going to be able to trust to count on, it's very hard during any type of a period of a hype cycle. Take a look at LinkedIn, and there's people who are out there today purporting to be AI gurus who probably even in 2 years we'd never even heard of. And it's really hard to separate the forest from the trees, to use a bit of a cliche. What type of educational resources are out there that you think CX leaders, whether it's on the outsourcing side or on the buyer side, on the enterprise side, where should they be looking to try and get objective analysis or recommendations in terms of what they should be doing, the steps they should be taking, and potentially even who they should be using or which companies should they be partnering with?
Oh yeah, great question again. And I've heard some horror stories from customers in my role where they didn't take those steps, and it got them into a predicament. Quite a puzzling problem to solve. And I'll share an example of it, and then we'll go to where can they go from resources and how they can look for options out there. So first, again, go back to what I mentioned. What problem are you trying to solve? What are you trying to integrate with? That's an important element. This company I got on the phone with, they were out of the UK, and they were looking for a new phone system. And then they started talking about an AI aspect, and they needed a kind of like an AI receptionist and a voice bot or a AI agent, a very lightweight AI agent, but still needed that. And so I'm like, started talking about what we could do, and then they made it very clear. Oh, no. We already have an AI solution. We hired this company out of Dubai that's going to build us our voice agent. But then after we've signed the contract, they let us know, okay, what phone system are we connecting to? We need access to that real-time data. And all of a sudden, this now, flip this project on its head, because okay, you've signed a contract with an AI developer, a programmer that can build you this tool, but now it needs to integrate into the phone system. I can promise that wasn't included in the contract, that development resource, not to mention from the company they outsourced, but the other vendor like Xima, like we don't have that integration with that company. And so that would add additional pro services. And so now all of a sudden this project has ballooned and expanded well beyond probably this customer's budget. And it kind of made them reset the entire project. And so first, again, so go back. What problem am I trying to solve? What am I integrating with? And that's where you could start. That's where you could start in your AI journey. Reach out to the partners, the manufacturers that support your system, whether it's a CRM or whether it's the phone system, or if you have a contact center solution. A lot of these companies have already started down that path and journey of developing some type of AI into their platform. So you could start there. Now, that might not be everything that you need to do, but a lot of times those businesses have partners that they've certified with. You always want to find a solution that is certified with the AI tools in the platforms that you want to integrate with. Again, and that goes back to, again, what problems you're looking to solve. So again, I'll give another example. Maybe you're a car dealership and you want it to book the appointment. Well, you want to make sure you find a platform that has that integration or is willing and is competent to build that integration and get all that up front before you start. Here's another great example. I run into this one constantly. Healthcare companies. They want integrations into their EHR, EMR, so health medical records platforms. The thing they don't realize, though, is a lot of EMRs, they don't allow write access. they'll allow read access. I actually had this case last week where a company they signed on with one of those big name platforms in the market, and they wanted it to integrate with their EHR. Come to find out, it couldn't do it. And so the partner then reached out to us, hey, can you do this? Do you have integrations? I'm like, we do. I'm like, but from my understanding, the platform that they had, I'm like, it is only read-only access. We can't write to the database. Even if we could build it out, the manufacturer of your EHR is going to block that integration. And so again, you want to understand the problem, what platforms you have in place, what you can do with AI in order to accomplish your goals. Or again, start to adapt those goals and objectives.
And I like that, the fact that there is a need for adaptation. These types of business problems are evolving, and I would dare say a customer experience department and the issues they were dealing with, say, at the end of 2024, could be drastically different than what they're addressing midpoint 2025. And I still can't believe I'm saying midpoint 2025. When did that happen all of a sudden?
It's just flying by.
Oh my gosh. Well, look, the bottom line though is, John, that there are a lot of approaches that an organization can take. I think we can say there's no one size fits all. There's no formulaic element that an organization needs to come to the table with when it comes to an AI deployment in regards to customer management. So I'm going to finish off on a query here that I think will be provocative, hopefully not too controversial, but again, I think it's important that we get this out on the table. I'm a CX leader, and I've been mandated by my board of directors to go hot and heavy and hard on AI. And I'm looking to do so. I'm looking to find a partner. I'm looking to source an organization that I can work with. What are some of the things I should be looking for in a solutions provider, in an organization that I can work with? And what would you counsel should be some red flags to watch out for during this procurement process?
Yeah, I would recommend to a company that, looking that has been instructed to go find an AI driven solution. Before you go into that AI, look at where your company's at. And use this to determine which vendor, which platform you should move forward with. I'm a big believer. I always counsel and recommend to customers crawl, walk, run in your AI journey. Are you doing any AI today? If you're not, go with a partner, because I mean, people will sell you anything you want. You find businesses, you might overpay for things, but if you're not doing anything with AI today, start simple. And there are a lot of AI tools out there that can be easy to implement, easy to use. Some examples on that: speech analytics. That's a very easy AI tool to use and can benefit a lot of companies. And there's real-time speech analytics, there's historical speech analytics, but basically AI is going to analyze the tonality. It's going to look for keywords and phrases, which can be a very easy tool to instantly improve customer experience. It can instantly improve coaching opportunities for your agents to improve that customer experience. And I call that the crawl approach, because it doesn't take an advanced supervisor or manager to run speech analytics. It's really a lot of times during deployments, a check of the box. And then it's up and running, and then you can tell you, when you want it to alert you on certain sentiments, but it's very lightweight to get implemented. Another good tool of that is, messaging bots, but from a light integration perspective. Okay. And this is another important thing to look at when you're looking for red flags: AI tools that are standalone AI tools, or AI tools from a contact center or customer experience. That's something else that you should look at. Again, it not necessarily it could be a red flag. Just understand the business. Okay, what I mean by that, I was at Enterprise Connect this last spring, and there were a lot of AI vendors there. And I went and just chatted with a bunch of them and understood what they were doing in the market. And there's two types of AI vendors when it comes to customer experience. There's standalone AI. And what I mean by that is, like, take a chat bot. Oh, I'm chatting, whether I'm texting or I'm on a website and I'm chatting with a chat bot. I asked a lot of these, standalone vendors, I'm like, what happens when it needs to escalate to a human? And they kind of looked at me and like, why would you ask that? Just to have AI do everything you want it to do. You want it to book appointment, book appointment. You want it to, take care of your coffee order, you have it do that. Well, again, that adds elements to the project where you got to have those integrations done. And a lot of times, again, over humanizing AI. People have all been in that scenario where it's like represent. You're talking to a bot, you just want to talk to a live person. But if that platform doesn't have the ability to get that to a live person, that could be a big problem for your business. Okay. The other red flag I would look for is ignoring AI driven insights, ignoring what your customers are talking about. And this goes back to that crawl, walk, run approach. Again, if you're a lot of people understand their voice conversations, but I've had customers come to me and they're like, we're looking for a messaging bot, a chat bot. I'm like, okay, what do your customers chat with you about today? And they're like, we don't have web chat. I'd recommend that customer start with web chat first, because a lot of AI tools charge based off of consumption and usage. And they might sell you a package and you don't even know if your customers are going to use your chat on your website or not. You don't know if your customers are going to text with you. So again, start small before you start running. And when I say running, integrating with your other platforms in your business. And then over reliance on technology. That's again, having that integration with the human aspect and AI. Don't oversell your AI to your customers. Again, use it for those low level tasks so your actual agents can improve that customer experience on the difficult tasks. You don't need an agent to handle those, tier one type queries, those simple questions. But you don't necessarily want AI to handle those more complex scenarios. And this is probably the last and most important red flag to look for. Ask to test their AI. AI's gotten better, but AI it's as good as its large language model. It's also as good as its knowledge base. How does it get the information that you want? Some of the early cases of AI coming out, there were AI tools that were agreeing to contracts. You don't want your AI agent to agree to some sort of terms and conditions. You want it to, again, handle certain tasks and then go to that. In our platform, we built that in where, okay, if it asks a question that has nothing to do with our business, we want it to respond intelligently like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that. Early adopters of AI, they ran into those problems because, again, large language model was giving it access to a whole bunch of information that maybe didn't even apply to their business. So ask to test their AI. Is there a number I can call into if it's a voice bot? Or is there a website I can go to just kind of chat with it? And ask it those hard questions. Ask it questions that, see if you can trick the AI agent. Because, again, if it tricks the AI agent, that's going to impact your business. So those are a few things that I would look for when determining what company to go with. What are some red flags I'd look for? Are they wanting me to run when I'm early in my journey? Or are they willing to grow with me as a partner? That crawl, walk, run approach. And then don't overhumanize your AI. Have it focus on its tasks, and then use its AI-driven insights. Use the data that it gives you and make sure that the platform can give you that data. Understand how customers are using your AI so that way it's accomplishing its goal of improving your customers' experience.
John, one issue that I think we should put on the table here in terms of, I don't know if this would qualify as a red flag, but when sourcing a provider, obviously there are literally hundreds, if not thousands of companies purporting to be in the AI business right now. And it's interesting because just a couple of days ago, Nearshore Americas, an amazing website that's got a lot of information about the BPO space, put down an article where they were quoting the head of Acquire Intelligence, the CEO of Acquire Intelligence, who's saying that in 3 years' time, most AI platforms, as it relates to BPO, and I'm assuming CX as well, will not be around. Should this be a concern for an organization that's looking to source an AI partner right now? The fact that there's probably going to be some element of shakeout or consolidation, and who you're working with or what company you're working with now, you want to be at least relatively confident they're going to exist in a few years.
Oh, 100%. Because otherwise, again, there goes that entire investment. with AI. And I agree with what they're saying that there's going to be a consolidation. Again, it goes back to our first question, the hyping of AI and the hype cycles. And so a lot of companies are getting into it, and you're seeing some smaller companies to larger companies really understand that customer's or that company's vision. Ask them those questions. Like, I'll get on and ask questions to companies, what's your long-term goals? What problems again are you looking to accomplish? I think it's more than fair you ask those same questions back to the vendor that you're talking with. And you want to find yourself a partner, not just a vendor. This isn't just someone that you want to, be responsible for this tool and that you don't interact with. This is someone you're going to want to have a good relationship with, and you want to understand what their business directions are as well. Because again, the reality is there's a lot of companies out there that are getting acquired. A lot of companies go into business with the plan of being acquired. And so they don't necessarily have your best interest at heart or top of mind. And so understand that from the vendors that you're selecting. What's their overall direction? What's their company vision?
Super duper. Okay, well, Jon Florence with Xima in Salt Lake City, thank you so much for your time. Always good catching up with you. And just for the sake of our listeners, Jon and myself have been planning to do this for a few months now, and I'm glad that we were both able to align travel schedules. Jon's a very busy individual, and I think this has been one of the most robust discussions I've had in quite some time, Jon. So a big thanks for coming on the CX Files. Your first appearance will not be your last, I guarantee it, and we'll look forward to catching up soon.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Peter. And this was an absolute pleasure. I'd be happy to be on anytime.
Thanks for listening to the CX Files podcast. We really appreciate your feedback and suggestions. You can reach myself, Mark Hillary, or Peter Ryan via LinkedIn. Please also leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast provider, as that helps more people to find us. As always, we'd like to thank Chris Haig at Traction Media for the CX Files graphics. See you next week.